Welcome to the show, everyone. We are live on Facebook, so I do want to say hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We're going to share the show later on. I love my show, and I do love my show because of all the information. We go from soup to nuts on this show of things that people do. And right now I have with me a guest that's been on with me now, oh gosh, I think it's a few years now.
Yeah.
I have with me Sandy Greenlee, and she's owner of Angels Cremation and Burial. Welcome to the show. Now, right away when you say that, people are like, huh? Right?
That's right. Everybody thinks it's going to happen to somebody else tomorrow.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about why you come here and why you like to talk about what you like to talk about here.
Well, I like to educate people so they know they have options and choices. So many times people think, oh, the mortuary around the corner is just as good as the mortuary down the street or it's 3 towns over. The thing of it is, if you have lots of money and you don't have any options and you don't care what options you choose, that's fine. But if you're on a limited budget, if you know what you want and you don't want somebody trying to twist your arm or change your mind or tell you what you want to do, you need to be educated. Education is the very most important thing, especially if you're being cremated, because when you are being cremated, it's very important who signs the authority to cremate. It's not your sister, it's not your brother, it's not who you choose. There's a legal line that has to be followed. And so if you're married, it's your spouse. If you're not married, it is your children. If it's not your children, it's your parents. And the line keeps going down. So you can't say, well, I'm going to have my grandmother sign because she wants what I want. That does not work. Get something in writing, get it notarized, and then you get what you want. Otherwise, you get what somebody else wants for you.
So I want to talk a little bit about cremation, okay? What is, I don't want to say the word, is it more popular? I don't like to say it that way. But today, is it more popular today because of the economy?
I think it's a lot because of the economy, because people are more conscientious of the universe. I think it has a lot to do with people being transient rather than being, I mean, you know, my mother and my grandmother didn't move more than 20 miles away from where they were born. Now there's me that's traveled and tromped all over the place. And I think there's more people like me. They're moving to different locations. They're moving to different places. I mean, we used to always, on Memorial Day, we went to the cemetery and we decorated all the graves and we put flowers on them and we talked about the people that died. And I have 2 children. My son does not go to cemeteries. My daughter has gone with me because I was raised that way by my mother. And it was just devastation when my mom got older and she couldn't go to the cemetery, so I went home every year. I planned my vacation to take her to the cemeteries. And I think people have lost that sense of needing to do that. There's not a need for having a grave. There's not a need for going to go have some place to go to. I'm not saying all people, but I think a larger percentage of the people are, because they're transient, they want to be cremated, they can pick the cremains and take them with them. When there's a physical body, it's there. It's
and
not
it's
going to go
also
anywhere.
a lot less money.
Oh, yes.
Oh my
Definitely.
goodness. Okay, but this is something I want to go over some things that we've talked about before. The number one thing that people, I think, should know about cremation, and I'm going to say it for you, is a cremation is a cremation is a cremation is a cremation, which means it really doesn't matter where you go, as if the way they do it is the same.
That's right.
See, I listened to you.
What makes the difference is whether you're paying for the beautiful grass outside, if you're paying for people to wear suits and ties, if you're paying for people to talk to you for an hour and instead of just getting the paperwork done and being done. And that's great if that's what you want. I'm not condemning anybody for what they want. I think there's a place for everyone. There's a place for the really large mortuaries that do a cremation. There's a place for the little small guy that does a cremation. But a cremation is a cremation is a cremation. Nothing changes. You're paying for the ambiance. Is that a good word for it?
Right.
You're paying for someone to wait on you. You're paying for the Berber carpet and the crystal chandeliers.
And that's not necessarily important when it comes to this. So, the first thing I want you to know is, how long have you all been around?
I've been in the funeral industry since 2000. I've had my own mortuary since 2005.
And
so almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years. And let me just tell you something. What I love about Sandy is that you are the most real person that I know. And I know a few of them. But what I think which is great about you is when somebody comes in, and there's a lot of times when they're confused, right? Obviously, that's
Oh,
going to
yes.
be the hardest time in someone's life. They're confused. I don't know what to do. I'm being told this to do, and I'm not sure if my mother wanted or whatever, mother, father, whoever. But you really will sit down with them, and you'll be right honest with them. You are a very honest person, and you tell them like it is, right? And you help them save money. It's not about you helping, you getting money as much as you want them to save money if they can.
Well, in this economy, everybody needs to be conscientious and careful if they don't have a lot of money to spend. And yes, I help people to know you can have a memorial service at home, you can have a memorial service at the city park. The only time a mortuary has to be involved when there is a physical body there. You can buy and earn, use a cookie jar, you can use some favorite thing you have
It's a
at
good
home.
idea,
You can
cookie
use
jar.
anything you want.
I like cookies.
And so if you want to buy and earn, I'm happy to sell you one. But I'm not gonna beat you up if you decide you don't want one, because it's your choice, it's your option. I mean, I think some of the most precious memories I have of families coming in is when they bring something in that belonged to mom, or something that dad made, or something that's personalized. So it really has more value in my world, because it's making them happy. They're going to have something that is a double purpose. And so I have urns, but I don't encourage people. I don't say, well, you have to buy an urn. There's some mortuaries require you to buy an urn. I don't. If you want to take the cremation in the temporary container, I'm okay with that.
Their phone number is 480-962-6435, which is 96 Angel. So 480-962-6435. Their website is angelscremationandburial.com. And I will tell you what I love about her is that you will do a free consultation and sit down and talk. It's so important. Everyone listening right now, whatever it is that you decide to do, you do. And it doesn't matter cremation or not, you will sit down. One of the things that is the most important thing to you is please pre-plan things that you want. It's for you, and it makes it easier for your loved ones afterwards.
That's right. There's nothing more heartbreaking to me than somebody comes in and says, I just wish I knew what they wanted. Because Americans don't like to talk about death. But I promise you it's going to happen to all of us. It's the one thing in life you cannot get out of. And so let your wishes be known. Talk about it. Pray about it. Console about it. Sometimes we just need to know what other people want or what we don't want, so that people can make decisions and feel good about their decision.
Now, when you talk about them and you write them down, this is another thing that we want people to know, that whatever you do, where you write them and however you do that, you got to get it notarized. We've talked about this.
Notarized.
Yeah, notarized. People don't realize this. And what would you say, is that the number one problem that usually comes in? Because you deal with all the problems.
Yes, I would venture to say, but I have a power of attorney, but it's not notarized. I have a power of attorney, but it doesn't state cremation. What do you mean I have to have my brothers and sisters sign? But Mom told me what she wanted. Well, I'm sorry Mom told you what she wanted. Mom should have put it in writing with a notary seal beside it. That's important.
Their phone number is 480-962-6435, which is 96 Angel. You want to call them, have a consultation. Everybody listening, God picks his flowers when he wants to pick. I know her so well.
Whether you're young or old, healthy or well, God picks the flowers he wants when he wants them.
Check out the website. It's angelscremationandburial.com. Again, that phone number is 480-962-6435. Hang tight, we'll be back in just a minute. I'm getting to know you pretty well.
You are.
We're still live in the room, so I do want to ask you, I guess what is the number one? Obviously, that's got to be the number one. You just named them right off of the bat. Is obviously the cremation, not the cremation, the notary, right?
And having a power of attorney.
Having a power of attorney. Okay.
People come in and say, "But Mom," I had one today. The lady said, "Well, my brother's supposed to be here, but obviously he's not." I said, "Well, Mom's ready to go to the crematory, but we have to have a signature before I can go. So he's just going to hang out with me on the floor."
That's really sad.
It
It's
is.
scary. It did, I think that's what happened to my dad. I don't think my brother wanted to tell me, because I don't think he wanted me to know that. But I think that's what happened, because I remember something with the bank and something with his name or whatever, and I remember them saying, we have to wait X amount of days, and I don't know, for some reason 15 comes in my mind,
Yeah.
but, yeah. And, I think we should talk about that after, live on air, because I think these people don't realize some of the things that could happen, and that when you know that, it's like, oh, wow, well, I don't want that to happen.
Well, and I just had I've had some family last week, or the week, it had been last week, I just got home last week, and said, well, I'm gonna go to a different mortuary, because they won't make me wait for 15 days, and I said, that's fine, I'm not breaking the law, this is the law, this is what it says, we're gonna follow the law. You're welcome to go wherever you want.
Well, isn't
I
that
don't
interesting? How do they know? What happens if they go
90
somewhere else and they say the same thing as you? Okay, this is a question to ask you. Do all mortuaries have to follow, don't they all have to
follow
follow?
the same rules, but
But
they
some
have to
of them
follow,
don't.
it's like people, you're supposed to not speed, but people speed anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, you can find people that are cutting corners, I don't care, I'm not.
Yeah. No, I would think that they're, if they knew that people were cutting those corners and doing that would be,
I had a
Bad.
family many years ago, and this was before same-sex marriage was recognized. And I refused to cremate without the children's signatures. And there was another mortuary down the street that decided it was okay, they were married because they were married in Colorado, but not recognized in Arizona. They got a lawsuit against me. I can't afford a lawsuit. I can't afford to
I
make
can't
mistakes.
imagine, why not follow the rules? It's like here, right? I mean, we have, there's certain things that we can talk about, certain things you can't. Some radio shows, they do it or not, I don't know.
But if whatever you wanna do is okay by me.
Yeah. So welcome back, everyone. We're talking about a very important subject, and that is, I guess, death, dying, and what you need to do, and being prepared. Sandy loves to come here and talk to you all and educate you all, and listen up, everyone. It's something that so many people put their heads in the sand in, and Sandy, you're the owner. You deal with all of the issues that come up. And we had talked before the break, and obviously the first one is, number one, notarize, 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 because when it's not, that's when the problems start happening. But that's just one, right? What are some of the others?
That's probably the number one thing. The second thing is, if there's not notaries, then we have to have the majority of the legal next of kin. And people say, well, that's not the law, that's not what it says. Well, it says if I know that anybody else is against it. Well, how do I know they're not against it if I don't have their signature? I haven't figured that out yet. And so we're very, very strict about, you have to have the majority of the legal next of kin signature. So in other words, if there's 5 children, we have to have 3 signatures if there's not anything notarized by the person that's deceased. Or if there's 4 brothers and sisters and the 5th brother and sister died and there's not any parents, there's not any children, then we have to have the majority of them. My opinion is pretty black and white. Some people kind of read the law a little differently than I do, but I can't afford a lawsuit, and so I'm pretty black and white. I'd rather err on the side of caution than I would to err not. It's like if you're gonna speed, if you go 7 miles an hour over, you won't get a ticket, but if you go 8, you get a ticket, or something like that, I don't know. And so people wanna push the limit, and then there's a cop, then your car is off, and so you get the ticket. I don't like to do that. I like to play on the safe side of the sandbox.
I don't blame you. Now, listen up, everyone. When something goes awry, and it might take how many days, the most days, that when something has gone bad?
Well, it can take 15 days if we don't have enough signatures, we can't get signatures. We don't have anything notarized, we have to place an obituary, wait for 15 days. If nobody claims the deceased at that time, then we're welcome to cremate. And there's no way of law being, anybody getting a lawsuit. Well, the person who signs just for themselves, they lie or they decide they don't care, then they're liable also if there would ever be a lawsuit. They can file a lawsuit against you. I don't want that on my head. I don't want that on my shoulders. So the important thing is if you know what you want, get it signed and notarized. If you don't know what it is or you don't want to notarize it, at least let people know. And know that the legal next of kin goes in this order. It's first of all the spouse or your own signature, and then it's your children, then it's your parents, then it's your siblings, and then I get lost, I have to look it up. It's grandchildren, grandparents, I don't remember which comes first. And it just goes down the pecking order. There's like 15 people that the lineup goes to before it says the one who has a special interest in you. Well, if you have a special interest in you and you're going to be cremated, you still need to make sure that all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. I mean, in today's society, everybody seems to be so happy over something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would really rather not hire a lawyer personally.
The other thing is the thought of the 15 days of your loved one
Hanging out in my cooler.
hanging out. Do you have a big cooler?
We do, and we
There
do
are a lot
not
of people
charge.
in there?
Some mortuaries even charge per day for refrigeration. We give you 21 days of free refrigeration, hoping that will give you time to have the money, to have a garage sale, to have a car wash, to be able to get the family members together to sign. But every mortuary has their own rules, their own regulations. There's not laws about it. We give 21 days of free refrigeration. Most people don't want charity. They want to be able to figure it out themselves. And so that gives them an opportunity to get another paycheck, to have a car wash, to have a garage sale.
This is
to
why I love
contact family
Sandy.
members so that they can figure out how to take care of themselves.
This is what I love about you, is because you really care about the clients.
I do. I love my families. I pray for them. I cry for them. I get upset with them. And I try to support them for the year after their loved one passes. We send out cards and letters hoping that it'll help them to get through the bad days or the bad months or the bad weeks. Can't guarantee it will, but we do our best.
So their phone number to call is 480-962-6435, which is 96 Angels. So 480-962-6435. Angels, Cremation and Burial.com. And I'm going to tell you that we're talking about cremation. You do both, right?
Every mortuary in the state of Arizona has to do everything. They have to have access to cremation, to burial, to science donation. Everything is required that you be a full-service mortuary. Some people think because your name doesn't say mortuary, it doesn't say funeral home, or it says cremation, you're a crematory. That's not the case. Every mortuary has to do everything regardless of their name. Our name doesn't have it in because cremation is the most important, when we were the new kid on the block, it was the most used, sought after service, and so that's why we included it in our name.
So I want to talk for a minute about burial, okay?
Mm-hmm.
For just a minute, because here's where I love this story that you tell. And, there are caskets, and then there are caskets, right? And
Yes,
there's
there
people who tend to want to spend money because of guilt or whatever it is that's going on with them. They want to do it. They'll come to you. And I remember you telling a story of a guy who really didn't have the money, and you knew, you kind of felt, you know how you know. And what did you say,
I said, how much do you want to pay per hour to look at the casket? And his answer was, but she's my mama, and I love her, and she has to have the best.
So that was
broke
okay.
my heart.
But if that's what he wanted, you're fine with that.
That's right.
But I love the way that you sit there and just say it like it is. I mean, how much do you want to pay it per hour to look at that casket? And then it's gone. It's down there and you'll never see it again. And you know what though, folks? It's what you want, but isn't it wonderful just to hear it, right?
Well, to me,
You planted that seed for sure.
To me, it's a seed that's planted, and
Mm-hmm.
people can make their own decisions from there. They don't have to look at the most expensive casket and think, oh, I wish I could have that, but I can't. I teach my families to start at the back of the book. The less expensive caskets are at the back, the more expensive caskets are at the front. I tell my families, when you hit your budget, or you find one you like, it's up to you, but I would stop. If you want to, put yourself in that situation, that's strictly up to you. But I encourage you not to, because then it's just more stress and more emotions on top of what you're already dealing with.
So let's say there's a budget, right? Does you have a package plan, or how does that work?
We all have package plans depending on what you're wanting, whether it's a cremation with a memorial, a cremation with a funeral service, cremation with a traditional funeral, a graveside, a funeral without a viewing. It's whatever you want. I don't believe there's any mortuaries that do not have package plans. And you can add to the package plan, you cannot delete from the package plan. I tell people it's kind of like going to the restaurant and saying, I don't want the carrots. I just want the french fries and the hamburger, or the french fries and the steak, whatever the case may be. So it's kind of like that. It's a package plan, meaning that the funeral home takes a little less off of everything, but it gives you a better deal, I guess. I don't like that word, but I can't think of another word that fits the program.
Right, but you know, it everybody wants that too, obviously. And the main thing though is that there are certain things that people do, they always think that they need. What's the biggest myth when it comes to all of this?
Oh, the biggest myth, I can't think of what the biggest myth would be, is that other than you think because that you're the oldest child, you get to make all the decisions for mom or dad. I can't tell you how many people come in and say, I'm the oldest, so I get to make the decisions, and it's like, no, you're just one of the 5, I'm sorry to tell you that.
So, okay, let's go through some of these. One of the things real quickly here for back to cremation. A lot of people think that the number one question you say that you get asked is this: is my loved one cremated by themselves or with somebody else?
Yeah, that is a federal law. Everyone has to be cremated individually, and most retorts are only big enough to cremate one person, and so it's an impossibility to be able to. I mean, I'm not going to say it's impossible,
And
but it's next to impossible to create more than one person in a
We'll leave
retort.
one on this. Can they have a funeral and still be cremated?
Yes, that's very. We do that all the time. It's called a traditional funeral with cremation as a final disposition rather than burial. A lot of people pick that because it's a lot less expensive, because they're not having all the expenses from the cemetery.
Well, the best thing to do is to pre-plan. And when you do this, listen, you yourself are not going to know. But you know what? Everybody else in the family, I've dealt with it. I know what it's like. I know you've dealt with thousands and thousands of people throughout these years who you are helping. Did you want to say something final?
I love all of you. Please pre-plan, have it notarized. That way you get what you want.
The number to call is 480-962-6435, which is 96 Angel. I'll repeat that. It's 480-962-6435. Check them out on their website. It's also very user-friendly. It is Angels with an S, cremationandburial.com.